The Against All Odds podcast, sponsored by Oak Forest Recovery.
Welcome to the Against All Odds podcast. I am your host, Rachel. We have co-host RJ, and we've got my girl Amanda Lee in the building today.
Yes, I'm excited.
Amanda's got a crazy story, guys. So I hope, buckle up, strap in, and we're about to get started.
Yes.
Let's start from the beginning of your story.
So I did not have a bad childhood. I want people to know that you don't have to have a bad childhood.
Sure.
Things
No.
don't have to happen in
That's
order for
right.
you to become a drug addict, alcoholic, whatever, mentally ill. I think that was, first of all, in my genetics. I had 3 out of my 4 grandparents were alcoholics, really bad. One of them was abusive, really bad to my mom and everything. I mean, my family has history of mental illness, alcoholism, and all of that. But when I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, in a good city. I had a lot of opportunities to, I took dance when I was little and played softball and t-ball. And when I started school, I went to a good school system, and I was literally a teacher's pet. I did very well in school. And let's see, I won the spelling bee. I won the DARE contest.
Oh, man.
So I made a DARE poster that said, "Get high on life, not on drugs." And I was good at art. And so anyway, I won a $100 scholarship that I got to have when I got to college and everything. And I won the spelling bee and helped create this nice park that is in Birmingham now. And so, I mean, everything was fine until I got to middle school. And I don't even know what twisted, but I was really interested in darker stuff, people that were cool. I really thought that the people that were sneaking out or skipping school or smoking cigarettes were the best. The skater boys, you know what I mean? I loved
The
that.
lifestyle of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I
I
started
feel
doing
like
it.
that's when it usually hits.
Yeah.
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 Middle school.
Yeah. And it just, I went from making straight A's, never had made anything until the semester that I decided that I was going to start smoking cigarettes, skipping class, sneaking out at night, all of that stuff. And my grades came home and I made all D's. I made 1A because I was good at math.
And what
But
did your parents think at the time when they saw you were slipping?
strict. They were so strict, and they weren't worried about me. They were angry at me. You know what I mean? I was punished. I was grounded. They were super strict. So, but I started sneaking out at night. And I figured out that instead of being bad at school, sneaking out in school, all that stuff, I'm going to do well in school. I'm going to be an overachiever. And then at night, have my little double life. And I did that. By the time I was 14, I was, 14 was the first time I drank. I lied and said I was 12 to the people I was drinking. I was 12, lied and said I was 14
Got it.
when the first time I drank. And it was at the beach. We were on a family vacation, and I walked down to where this little group of people were partying. And the first thing I ever drank was tequila, and did the little shot. I thought that was so cool, licking the salt, sucking the lemon, all that stuff, or the lime, whatever it is. I remember it hitting me, and that song, The Fugees, was playing, One Time.
Oh, yeah.
And I had never felt any better in my life. It was that alcohol had gone down, and I felt like I was a better version of myself. I was beautiful. I was funny. I could talk to anyone, and I had never felt that way before. So I had found my solution. I had found everything that I had ever needed, and so I ended up over drinking, passed out in the sand, throwing up everywhere. And I got brought home by a police officer, or back to the condo, and super grounded. My parents were pissed. So the next day I was can't wait to go back out and drink the next night. I was going to do it again, and I was grounded. And so my reaction was, well, I'm going to kill myself if you don't let me go. And we were on a high-rise balcony, and I climbed over the other side. There was families down at the pool, everything screaming because I was going to jump. But I never had it in my head I was going to jump. This was a manipulation tactic.
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? But the fact that I was that hell-bent on drinking to climb over a balcony, that terrifies me now.
Right. After
How
the
did I
first
do
time,
that?
too. Yeah.
I wasn't scared.
Your frontal lobe is bust wide open during that time. That's what
Right?
it is. Yeah. We
Right?
don't think you're just impulsive. Yeah.
God, Molly. So I ended up not going out that night. I mean, it didn't work. My little tactics never worked, but I just knew what I was going to do. That was my solution. And by the time, I just started drinking every night. I was sneaking out at night, drinking, making straight A's at school. I was in the show choir. I was in the color guard and the marching band. I loved it, So I had this good life at school. People thought I was doing well. But when I was 15 years old, I had a best friend who was dating the like school drug dealer, and they were doing Dilaudids. This was back in like 1997, probably.
Wow.
So heroin wasn't as prevalent, at least not in Alabama. So anyway, she loved it. And they were willing to do it. So they shot me up for my first time.
Wow.
In the back of my knee. That was the first time that I ever did it.
Back of your knee.
But yeah, because I was a really big chubby kid. I didn't have good veins. And it was, so that was where he found one. But regardless,
How old were you?
oh my gosh, 15.
Wow.
I just thought like, yes, I have found everything that I have ever looked for. I thought alcohol was it, but then opiates, you know? So, but I loved the needle. I was addicted to the needle very, very quickly. I also was introduced to cocaine at 15, and I was shooting it up. I wasn't snorting it. I was doing, you know, speedballs. And the way I got my drugs was literally I had older men giving me money. All I had to do was like show them my boobs or whatever. I don't even know if I can say that on this.
You can.
Yeah,
but
you can
say,
for sure.
You know,
can say
stuff
whatever.
like that. That was the way that I was making money. Things you have to do as a young girl or you can do to make money. Really sad, really sad. Looking back at like 15-year-old girls today, I'm like, they're babies.
I know.
And I, you know, the things I was doing like break my heart for my younger child. But anyway, let's see. So my parents put me on what's called a CHINS petition. It's Children in Need of Supervision. And it's basically probation that they put me on. It was by a court. So I had to call a color code. I had to go in if they called my color and do a drug test. I had to, I had two like people that were on my case. So they had a key to my house. So I skipped school one day and was in bed, and they came up to my bed and dragged me out of bed and put me in school. They could also check me out of school to take me down to the court to do a random drug screen. So, I mean, this was at 15, 16 years old. I was already like on probation. But it wasn't because I got arrested or anything.
So your parents found out, and then they were, can you walk us through, like, how did they know that you were, did they find out exactly what you were doing?
Yes, they knew what I was doing. I don't really know how for sure, but I think I was trying to buy some drugs from like a family friend or something.
Okay.
And he was pretending like he was going to help me out, and then ended up calling my parents. So that was like one of the first things. But my mom searched my room like all the time. And she would set up a little pile in the middle of my bed of things she had found, like you know, tweezers, and thinking that was my roach clip or whatever, you know, searched my room all the time. So she found needles and stuff, and I was stealing from her all the time. Like I was pawning jewelry. I was stealing from her wallet. I mean, she was fast to catch me. I don't know how. I didn't get away with a lot. I was caught for a lot, but yeah. And I was shoplifting, which thievery is like been my biggest issue. I don't know why I was such a klepto,
Same.
but that has lasted
Yeah,
for
you went
such
through
a
a
long
phase.
time.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah.
Get a sip of water real quick, but I went through this klepto phase and was getting arrested. Sorry guys. I was going through my klepto phase, and I got arrested at the mall just stealing clothes. And went to jail. Then I got caught. The other arrest I had as a young kid was just put in a drunk take, you know, for being drunk in public. But like I told y'all, I was doing all this stuff in school. I was also a cheerleader. And I ended up at a high school football game. I was drunk at it and got caught by the school and got suspended and got kicked off the cheerleading squad. So, I mean, I am not a smooth criminal. I get caught by everything I do. Let me just tell you. But so I was kicked off the squad, but I'm still doing show choir. I'm still doing my color guard. But I kept getting suspended and caught for things, especially for stealing from people. We didn't have cameras back then, but I was stealing from purses at school, and they ended up putting cameras in our high school because of me. Wow. I was strip searched one day in the counselor's office. And when I say strip search, they had my mom come in, and they knew I had stolen money from some purses, and but I had it hidden in me, if that makes sense. And so, but they strip searched me at school, and that's crazy to me that they're even allowed to do that. But
I don't think they're probably now they're not. But,
probably not.
Yeah, but
it was the guidance counselor.
Yeah, that's
so. Yeah, but they did have my mom come in, so at least they weren't just
Yeah. Just willy-nilly.
Right?
Yeah. Listen, nobody wakes up one day and thinks, you know what'll be fun? Going to rehab. But sometimes life gets messy, and the bravest thing that you can do is admit that you need a reset.
At Oak Forest Recovery, we're not here to judge. We've been there. We know what it's like. We've been scared. We've been alone, using comedy and jokes to cover it all up. The good news is you don't have to do it alone. We have the tools, we've got the community, and we even have good coffee.
If you or someone you love is struggling, come see us. Healing doesn't have to be boring. It can even be fun, and we're here to help.
So let's see, I don't know. I graduated high school by like the hair of my chin. Like I barely graduated. I was not being an overachiever by the end of high school. I had stopped going, didn't care. I was drinking every day. I was doing not heroin, but Dilaudid and cocaine every day. It was a major addiction. And I didn't realize that I was physically addicted until I went on a trip with my parents. I was gone for like 5 to 6 days. And it was coming out of both ends, and I couldn't stop it.
Did you realize like when you were on the trip that like this is withdrawal, or did you not know? Okay, so
no,
you
not
realized,
at first.
Okay,
not at first. I thought I had some kind of stomach bug, but my friend was like,
okay, it's all we always get put on by someone else that like knows, and then we're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
but I didn't really know, and but I still wasn't like, it was no wake up call. It wasn't like, oh, this is a problem, I need to stop. That was not in my brain at all. I loved it still. So, but like I said, I graduated high school, from a good high school. Still, I went to the same school system my whole life. And honestly, the only way that I passed was my parents coming in and being like, can y'all please let her take these exams? And I went, I don't know, they allowed me to come in and take these exams in another room, separate from all the other students who had already finished all of their classes, and just allowed me to barely graduate. So I do have my high school diploma, at least, you know, I'm proud of that. So, but right after high school, my plan was to go to Auburn University. That's always been the plan. My dad went there. I was going to go to college right out of school. My parents had saved up money for me to go. And I joined a sorority, actually. I always wanted to be in groups. I liked being in cheerleading. I liked being in color guard. I liked all this stuff. And I wanted to be in a sorority. And I remember this girl at the beginning taking me to a party and introducing me to all the frat guys, and showing me where to get the alcohol and all that kind of stuff. And like by the third night that we went out drinking, she told me that she was not going to be my big sister anymore, because I was an embarrassment, because I would end up drunk and naked at every party, which is true. But yeah, like, so I was an embarrassment. So anyway, they kicked me out of the sorority by I was at a house drinking one night, and they just showed up at the house with papers having me sign a form saying that I was going to withdraw from the sorority. And they took my like pin, they took my cup, they took my t-shirts. They like came in and raided and took everything, which was actually really hard on me, honestly, because I felt like a failure, like rejection. Oh my gosh, you know? So, but I kept on drinking and not going to class. The only class that I made any type of grade in was math, and it was only because I was good at it, you know? And I didn't withdraw or anything like that. So my grades my GPA was just 0.06 or something like that. It was terrible. And after the second semester of school, my dad's like, I'm not paying for you to go to school just to party and drink and come back with a 0. whatever GPA. So I came home. And my parents did enable me for a long time, but it did stop. But my dad got me a condo, so I'd have somewhere to live in Birmingham after I came back from college. I got me a job at Applebee's as a hostess, and all I had to pay him was $200 a month for this nice condo in a nice city with a balcony. It was great. But again, like, I started immediately doing Dilaudid again. And I remember I met this guy that I was getting it from, and I was like letting him stay with me, you know, basically living with me. And but one night while I was at work, he robbed my house, like took all of my everythings and stuck needles in my walls and wrote like, "You dirty junkie whore."
Oh wow.
That was hard. Like, so I couldn't get in my house that night, and I was freaking out, like looking in the windows, screaming, crying, and called my dad, and he came and brought a key and let me in and helped me clean up the house and everything. And that was just like, what the fuck? Seeing that on the wall, you dirty junkie. I was 18. I had gone to college for 1 year. I was still 18. And I met this guy one day. I was like hanging out downtown where all the homeless people, I hung out with homeless people. That was my favorite people. Even though I had this condo, but I would go hang out with the homeless people downtown because they were living like I was living. They were using like I was using, and they didn't judge me, you know? So, but I met this guy, and he'd gotten out of prison the day before, and y'all, I fell in love with him, loved him. So the very first night we met, I had him come back to my condo, and he lived with me immediately. Like we were together, you know, ride or die immediately. We decided that we were going to open bank accounts and write bad checks, like go to the store and write it for $20, $40 over and get some cash back. And for each of these, and it was me that was doing it because he had no, like, I don't know. He was fresh out of prison, had nothing. I don't remember if I had any credit yet, but I was able to open these bank accounts. And I remember getting warrants for each one of the checks that I wrote. So I had 37 warrants out for me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I didn't know how I was going to face that. So I hopped in the car, loaded up my car, jam-packed it up, and me and this guy, Nico, that was his name, my guy, we hopped in the car and drove to LA from Birmingham. We were going to go live in the car, have a fresh start. But I remember like driving, took us 3 days to get there. We would stop at like KOA campgrounds and maybe take a shower or something like that. But I remember writing in my journal and just being like, I've got to change. I can't keep living like this.
So you're realizing,
that was the first time I ever realized that this was a problem. Maybe I don't need to live like this. I want a better future. Cause I mean, I realized that, that was the first time I realized it. It was, a deep feeling that something needs to change. We got to LA, we parked in Santa Monica, and, we're driving downtown every day to 7th and Spring is what I want to say it is. I may be wrong in that, but we were buying heroin out of they would walk around and go, outfits. That's what they would call it. And it would be in their mouth, like balloons of heroin, $5 each. So I would go downtown, buy my heroin. It was the first time I'd ever done black tar heroin instead of Dilaudid, so that was different for me. And then go back and park my car in Santa Monica and just that's what I did every day. I would get high and go back to Santa Monica and live in my car and just walk I can't remember what it's called, but walk that area.
Yeah. Venice Boardwalk.
Yeah. I think so. And so, but there was also this couple that would let us come in their house and shower every morning. I don't know why they trusted us, like homeless people, to come in and shower every day, but people are trusting or used to be. I don't know. And we never hurt them. We never stole from them. I'm grateful for that. At least I had some morals. But let's see. We pretty much felt overwhelmed by LA. So we were only here for, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks at the most. And we drove up to Eugene, Oregon to live because I had an aunt that lived in Eugene, Oregon. And I just felt like better having somebody some
family around.
Yeah. So we lived in Eugene, Oregon, which was a smaller city. And the way I made money was a cardboard sign. Mine said, homeless, broken, hungry, anything helps, even a smile.
RJ
I did that.
You did?
Moment too, yeah.
And I remember I made good money at Christmas time. Not
you can make
any other. It wasn't as good. It just depended.
For what it
did.
Yeah, it did. I know that you can make good money doing that. It depends on where you stand or whatever.
There's those people that live in homes and make that their job. Have you seen those videos where they get caught and stuff?
I've seen that.
And they have a Tesla.
I was not making
block,
that much money.
And then they live in a mansion.
Yeah, not me. I wasn't making that much money except around Christmas time, but it was still like that. You read about incomprehensible demoralization. And I just remember standing there with a sign oh my God, these people, what if somebody sees me that knows me, even though I was across the country. But that was how I made my money. And then, or shoplifting or finding receipts
Doing
on the
returns.
ground outside of Walmart, finding the receipt, going in, stealing what was on the receipt and then returning it. That was my receipt. So that was another way I made money. I would just find ways. You know how we do. We find ways.
I've seen first. I've got to meet clients that have come, you know, through finding a forest through my platform. And I think that's been one of the most special things. And then seeing them, I've seen people come in the beginning, and then I've seen them, you know, at bonfire or after, and seen like the light come back in their eyes and what a great experience they're having, and this new, you know, community that they have now that could last for the rest of their lives and has set them up like for a successful recovery. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things.
So I got arrested one day for shoplifting and went to jail, and I was prescribed Klonopin at the time. It was just, I was seeing a psychiatrist and she was still prescribing it. It was a lot more loose back then. So I was getting it in the jail actually. And I remember a girl threatening me to like give it to her. So I cheeked it and tried to give it to her, but I got caught. So I got put in solitary confinement. So in solitary confinement, I'm detoxing off heroin. It was awful. The detoxing in jail is the worst.
Yeah.
Those cold metal toilets, like you're just like hugging
everything.
it. That's where you live. Oh my God.
Did they stop giving you the Klonopin after you tried
Yeah.
to?
Yeah. So I'm
dude. So you
detoxing
didn't
off
even have
Klonopin
that.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. Yeah.
But they gave us books.
Okay.
And the books that I read were about people changing their lives. And it was so motivating to me. I wanted to get sober. I wanted to change my life. I wanted something better. So I'm kind of thankful for that jail stay, for that solitary confinement. I was in there for 2 weeks. And I remember I could see Mount St. Helena or outside my window. It's a volcano. And I'm like, please erupt so they'll let me out of jail. Like, I just wish that. Yeah. Anyway.
How long were you in for?
I was only in there for a month.
Yeah.
When I got out, my car had been towed. And so I was homeless at that point. I was living on church steps. I had a cardboard like thing that I would sleep, because it was Seattle at this point. I forgot to mention that I went from Eugene, Oregon up to Seattle, just like living in my car. I just kept going up north for some reason. It was just a bigger city, and I felt like I'd be able to find more drugs there. Honestly, that's why I went. When I got out though, it was the middle of winter. I'm sleeping on church steps on cardboard with like the homeless people woolen like gray blankets and everything. Go into the soup kitchens and go into the needle exchange. At least I was using clean needles. I don't have hepatitis C or anything today because of the needle exchange, you know, so thank God for that. But one day I did a bad shot and I couldn't like move. I was frozen. My body was frozen, and it was like, I'm done. I'm done. So I called my dad and I was like, Dad, because I'd been on the run for this whole time. My parents didn't know where I was. You know, I had these 37 warrants out for me. I'm on the run. I'm not going to jail for this. And they didn't pick it up when I went to jail in Seattle. They didn't see my warrant. So I called my dad and I'm like, hey, I'm in Seattle. I'm doing heroin. I told him the whole truth. I need help. And he had my aunt fly out that exact day, who had been in recovery for 25 years. She lived in Washington, D.C., and she flew out that day and helped me detox. She actually took pain medicine. Like she was in recovery, but like had to take it because of her back. So she helped me detox with some Percocet in a hotel room. And the only way I was going to do it was with that guy, Nico. I wasn't going to go without him. So they brought him. They knew I wasn't going to do it without him. So we detoxed in that hotel room for a few days, and then she flew me back to live with her in Washington, D.C. And I tried my best to stay sober, but I would go to the gas station and drink. She watched me really, really closely, so I wasn't able to do much. I remember I stole a fentanyl patch from her. She had a safe, and I like broke into the safe and stole it and ate the fentanyl patch, you know. So I was not really doing a good job of staying sober on my own. So they sent me to rehab. I went down to Florida, and it was like an alternative rehab because my aunt was more interested in like alternative forms versus the 12 steps. She really felt like the 12 steps was a cult in a way. But I went to this alternative rehab, and it was a party. There was no sobriety happening there.
Wow.
We were drinking at night. I remember the first time I ever smoked crack was in rehab. There was a guy next door that sold crack. So I ended up just kind of like hooking up with him and smoking crack at rehab. And I was there for 6 weeks and wasn't sober. I graduated, but why, they were just like, why and how? I don't know. When I came back though, I was like, okay, let me try meetings. I didn't know what else to do. So I went to an NA meeting, and I met this girl there, and she was like, you need to come with me to this young people's group. It's an AA group, you know. So she picked me up the next day, and we went, and there was like 500 young people at this group.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were all bright and shiny and like happy. And and this guy, it was a speaker meeting and it was 2 speakers, but this one guy told his story and it was mine. Well, it wasn't my story, but it was enough to relate to. I was like, I felt like I was at home. I had found my people. I had found something and I had hope, you know? So I kept going to those meetings, but that night they had me move out of my aunt's house. So this group, they had us like, you cut off your family in this group. So they had me move out of my aunt's house and move into a sober house and live on a couch for a while, and sort of cut her off because my aunt sort of believed that it was a cult.
Right.
They didn't want me like getting involved with that. And they wanted me to cut off all my old friends. So I had to like get a new phone number and throw away all of that. And, you know, I was telling you that I was seeing a psychiatrist. And so I was taking Lexapro at this point, and no meds were allowed. Doctors were not allowed. So
wait, this was
This
an
was sober
NA
living,
meeting?
or
this was
what
an
it?
AA meeting.
AA meeting.
Wow.
Yeah, but we ended up in the end. It was a cult.
It was a cult.
I was
Oh
there
my
for
God.
7
like, yeah,
years.
it's sounding
Dude.
very cultish.
Yeah, so I have
That
the
is
Newsweek
wild.
articles and the Washington Post articles. They came in and busted up our meetings. It was a cult,
Wow.
a sex
So
cult.
what?
A sex
okay,
cult.
can you walk us through? Okay, so they cut the family off. They
Yeah.
cut your meds off. They cut everything, and then
So
what
my
And
was
this
the
was
process?
all under the guise of AA?
Yes, and
Holy
it's still
shit.
around. It's still around.
And where is this?
The Washington, it's in Washington, D.C. It's called the Midtown Group.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know how more people don't know about it. But you can look it up. I mean,
Yeah.
another guy just got arrested for sexual assault like a few weeks or months ago, I suppose.
Oh my God. How old were you?
So I was 19
Oh wow.
when I went. So I was sober before I was 21. But I was happy.
Yeah.
This group
You were
was
a part of
fun.
something.
Yes.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
group
You
was
found community.
awesome. Yes. I really did. I mean, we went to the beach like every weekend. They had us get in on beach houses. I liked living in a sober house. But I remember like I was taking this Lexapro and they had me flush it and witnessed by several people. Lexapro.
Yeah.
And change my sobriety date and share about it in a meeting every day for a week. That I was changing my sobriety date, that I'd been taking medication from a doctor, all this stuff. So
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
weird. But you know, it was fun. I mean, we'd go bowling after the meetings. I had a sponsor that, you know, really helped me out, but that what they would do is give us direction instead of like suggestions. If you were given direction by your sponsor, that meant you had to do
Yeah.
it. And I was given direction to do sexual things before, you know.
Wow.
There was that we had a leader of our group. His name was Mike Quinones, and he is no longer alive, but he was the leader of our group, and our nickname was the Q group. And we, you know, his fiance was, I think, 16. He was 70 something.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And a lot of the men sponsored young women because
Yeah.
most of the people were young. We had
Okay, so
we
it
had an
wasn't like women with
11-year-old
the women. It was men with women.
for the most part.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
I had a female sponsor.
Okay.
You know, because I'd always heard women.
But
with
they still
women.
directed you to do.
It was just common. It was just very common for the older men who we loved. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really like looked up to them. Their stories were incredible. I felt like they had solid sobriety. They were a good time, you know. They were the ones that were really generally sponsoring the younger women and the men too. But there was also women sponsoring women. So it wasn't like a rule. But yeah, like I was saying, we had like an 11-year-old in our group. We had 12, 13. We had very young people sleeping with these older men to
Holy
get
shit.
sober because it was like going to help you get spiritual and sober.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
And it was an honor.
How long was it go? It was an
Oh
honor.
my
Yeah. So that's
God.
to
a
get chosen
cult.
by them.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my
Holy
God.
So
shit.
how, like looking, I'm sure you've done your research on it now. How
Yeah.
long was that? Was that going on for like, this guy was in his 70s. Was that
Yeah,
going
that
on
group
for
was
like,
going on since the 90s. Wow. Yeah, it's still around.
Wow.
I don't know how. I know it's been broken up several times, and there's
Yeah.
been like kind of a separation in the group. Different people believe in different things. I know there's been issues because I was there for 7 years, and at the end of the 7 years, we started like getting busted up. Like I said, we were kicked out of our churches, so we had to start meeting in secret locations.
God.
There was a phone tree, so they would decide a location in the morning, and like one person would call 10 people. Those person would call 10 people to tell them where we were going to meet that night. It could be in the middle of the woods. One time it was in the gymnasium of a YMCA.
Yeah.
It was just, it depended on where we were allowed to meet. But we had to like sneak around and do it because reporters were coming in and busting up our meetings, literally.
Dude.
That's wild.
Yeah. In the middle of the meetings coming in.
What caused you to choose to become a part of the Oak Forest team?
The first time you came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my family. These are my best friends now. And I immediately felt very drawn to the Oak Forest community. I think it's really beautiful, from just the bonfire meeting and people not even necessarily needing to go through Oak Forest to go to that. And then also knowing that they have this safe community, or if someone needs help, they can go through this program that has changed so many lives. I love that it's like a family and tribe, like you call it. From seeing how many people have gone through there and then decide to work at Oak Forest and help others and want to stay in that community because they love it so much, I think that's truly something I haven't seen anywhere else.
So like I said, we were in the Washington Post, the not New York Times, but Washington Post, Newsweek. I have all the articles still because it's just crazy to me.
And what year was this?
So that was in 2007,
Okay.
2006 and 2007. There was a breakaway from the group that people in our meetings created a group called the Concerned Friends Group. And they were another like AA home group or whatever that was like trying to break up this group because it was sick. It was really sick, the sobriety they were teaching us. And I ended up relapsing. So I relapsed with a girl in the group. She found out that it was actually, okay, so let me back up about 6 months. I had a surgery. I had my gallbladder removed.
Okay.
And they gave me pain medicine. And I liked it, you know?
Yeah.
It was like a free high. And I had somebody holding it for me. It was kind of a rule for me to like not have my own bottle of, you know, pain medicine. So I had somebody holding it for me. And I remember being finished with it. I didn't need any more pain medicine. And I was like, it was 4 hours later and I'm like, yes, I do. I need one. So I snuck in there and found it and took one and kept that kind of a secret in the back of my mind for 6 months. Right.
Yeah.
And I was allowed to take that. I could have asked her like, hey, like, let me get one more. And it would have been no big deal. But the fact that I took the action to sneak in there and steal it and take it and keep it a secret, like that kind of fucked me up a little bit. And I told this girl in my home group that I had done that. And she was like, dude, you've already relapsed. Come on.
Yeah. Let's go.
She was one of the sketchy people too. I had started like hanging out with a little bit more sketchy people than the people in the middle, if that makes sense. So we went and bought some Mike's Hard Lemonade and I drank one. I was so wasted after the first one because I hadn't drank in 7 years.
Your tolerance was way low.
I didn't drink until I was 27. My first legal drink, I should say, was when I was 27. And I was terrified the next morning when I woke up. I mean, my heart was like I have relapsed. I'm gonna die, you know, but there's also that thing where you're like, fuck it. I've already relapsed. Yeah, I might as well just go for it. Go ham.
That's always how my brain was.
Yeah.
I was like,
So we had a guy in our group that was one that was in the middle. He was like one of the popular guys that shared, you know, we really liked his story, liked his recovery, but he also sold heroin to us.
Whoa.
Not us, but to me and like to a few other people. I mean, not while I was sober. This is like, I've already relapsed. I'm going to meetings at this point, but like relapsing.
Yeah.
And I reached out to him and started buying heroin from him, which is crazy. He's still around too.
And he's in the program actively selling it.
Yes.
Okay.
Secretly. I mean, people know, but they don't say anything.
What's the best spot to go if you think about it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So, but I mean, that was quick. When I started doing shooting up heroin again, it was like my rock bottom came quick. I started going up to Baltimore, which DC is like 45 minutes from Baltimore. And I would drive up there and go to the most dangerous parts of the city. Me, this little girl, going into the most dangerous parts of the city just to look for people that I can buy drugs from. And it was so easy. Not hard. And I felt safe and nothing really happened to me. I ended up living with one of the biggest drug dealers in Baltimore. And when I say there was like piles of heroin,
Wow.
I'm talking about piles of heroin. Like he was one of the
Living
biggest
junkie
ones.
dream.
Yeah. And we would like go to different motel rooms every night. I remember I got cigarette holes on every single freaking comforter because I love to smoke cigarettes and nod out. I've got burns on my stomach from nodding out and just like burning my stomach. I still have scars, but all those poor comforters. And we would go to different motel room every night just to kind of stay on the run a little bit. But again, I got to a rock bottom just mentally where I'm like, I can't do this. I didn't like this guy. It was gross. It was really gross, the things I was having to do.
Yeah.
I felt so just gross. So I called my dad again. Dad, I've relapsed. He thought I was still, 7 years sober going to these meetings. And he stuck up for the cult too. Like I remember him writing letters to the Washington Post saying like, this is not a cult. My daughter is a new person, which I was. It did save my life in a lot of ways. And it, but anyway.
It can be double-sided. You know what I mean?
For sure.
There's duality to a lot of situations.
For sure.
There can be bad and then it can also have it did help you for a long time.
It did. It did. So I called my dad and that day he helped me go to rehab again. He sent me because he knew like there's this window of willingness.
Right.
And when you're willing, you got to jump on it because you might not,
Right.
whew. So he jumped on it. Thank God for my dad. He flew me down to Florida where I went to rehab. And this was a great rehab. Actually, it was called 12 Palms in a little city called Jensen Beach, Florida. And I did stay sober there. It was amazing. On the weekends, they took us out to do things like take us out on an airboat or take us out surfing. I learned how to surf.
Wow.
Oh, so cool
Yeah.
to stand up on a board. Like that was so cool to me. I was there for 4 months and I ended up moving to Florida. Actually, I decided that I was going to get out of DC. I couldn't be in that because I'm starting to realize maybe that was a cult. I didn't really, even when the reporters were coming, I was like, they are so wrong about this.
Yeah.
This thing is magic.
Well, part of being in a cult is like you're pretty brainwashed to the fact that it's a cult.
Exactly. So let's see. I went back up to DC and packed up my apartment and my car and drove a U-Haul with my car being towed behind it. I drove it all the way down to Florida, which I'd be terrified to do today. I used to do things and now I'm like so scared of stuff.
Yeah,
like,
same.
How did I have that kind of bravery? But I moved down to Florida and I did not stay sober once again. I met this guy in rehab, and meeting guys in rehab is another theme for me. And I picked the ones. You know about this, Rachel.
I do.
So I met this guy and he was letting me live in his apartment. He had money, so he kind of spoiled me and I liked that. I didn't like him, but I liked the money and I liked he let me live there for free and he bought me alcohol. And when I say, and I wasn't doing heroin at this point, I was drinking like an alcoholic. I was drinking bottles of wine every day, or liquor. He had to call the police on me several times because I was abusive to him. And I would throw up and go rally and drink some more. You know what I mean? I wasn't going out. I was drinking by myself. I was drinking in the morning all day long. And he started to get to the point where he's like, you're an alcoholic. I'm not going to buy you alcohol anymore. So I start going to the store and stealing it because I didn't have my own money. He was like supplying everything for me. I ended up going back to Birmingham where I knew where heroin was because the alcohol was just not quite enough for me, and getting back on heroin. And this is where my story gets really just like embarrassing because my mental illness and everything really kicked into high gear. Let me just give you a 24-hour period of my life, or 48-hour period of what this looks like in my life. I decided that, I'm on heroin. I want to get sober. I want to get clean. I'm going to go to the hospital and let them detox me. This was in about 2010, maybe. And when I get to the hospital, they tell me they're not going to give me Suboxone. They're just going to give me phenobarbital and something else. And I'm like, that's not going to do the trick.
Yeah.
I freak out, and I'm already locked in at this point. I'm in the psych ward.
Wow.
And they're not letting me out. And I start freaking out. You have to let me out of here. You have to let me out of here. Like picking up chairs, going crazy. And they gave me one of those shots. I don't know if
Your butt,
you
the
out?
shot in your butt.
Yeah.
Halidol,
Well,
maybe?
it was like Haldol, Benadryl, and something else. It's 3 things. I should know. I'm a nurse, but I can't remember. I can't think right now.
Yeah.
They gave me 2 of those shots, and I still finally I took a nap. But it took a lot. The next day, though, they let me out because I mean, I wasn't going to cooperate. So they let me out. I didn't have a car. I walked down to the gas station and stole a Four Loko. And because the phenobarbital was still in my system, y'all, I was fucked up. My mom came and picked me up, and my dad I had a car, but my dad had hidden it from me because I was wrecking a lot. Like, I was getting in all kind of wrecks, and I was never hurt or anything, but I was wrecking all the time. So he hid my car from me, and I'm like, my dad stole my car. I'm going to press charges on him.
In your experience with treatment, how special is Oak Forest?
Oak Forest is very special. I've had my fair share of treatment experiences. I've even worked in treatment myself. And Oak Forest is like something I've never really experienced before. And I think that it's almost something that like cannot be replicated anywhere else, at least from what I've seen, right? And so it's just like this community and the love and the support that goes from the beginning of the process, and not even just with the clients, with the families, with everything else. Like, everything that I have seen goes above and beyond. And like beyond, even as like all of these people are being employed long after they have completed treatment, right? And I think that right there says everything.
So phenobarbital, drunk on a Four Loko. I have my mom drive me to this small little city police station. My dad lives in a little podunk, Alabama town. And I knock on the window, not the door. I'm so fucked up. And walk in there, and I'm like, I'm pressing charges on my dad, give him his name, because my dad's a deputized sheriff there. Oh, wow. And they just laughed at me and like kind of humored me for a little while, but they locked me up. They put me in jail for drunk in public. So I went to press charges on my dad and ended up in jail. And so first thing I say, I'm going to kill myself if you don't let me out of here. God. Again, that was my thing, my go-to. But don't say that in jail. Don't say that in jail, because they take everything away from you, and you're naked. You have no sheets or anything. Nothing. They left me my Uggs. So I had nothing. I had no clothes, no sheets, butt ass naked. But just I had my Uggs. Wow. I'm glad they gave me my boots, because I kicked on that door the entire night. I didn't sleep a wink, saying, let me out, let me out. And this was a podunk little jail. Yeah. So the whole jail was kept up all night. And they were like, shut up. Like, they were sick of me, not the jail people. They were just like, let us out, going with it. But the police officers were pissed. So I got kicked out of jail.
Damn.
Kicked out of jail?
I got kicked out of jail.
They called my dad and said, she can't stay here.
Yeah, she's got to
come pick her up. He goes, I'm not picking her up. And so they kicked me out. And my dad said, if you come on my property, I'm going to call the police, because he lived right down the street. Yeah. So I had nowhere to go. I knew where this rehab was. It was a Christian rehab. So I walked to it, but it was on a Sunday. So they were closed. So I called my dad. I'm like, what do I do? I've got nowhere to go. I want to get sober, but whatever. So he got me a hotel room for one night until that next day I could go to rehab. He's like, just don't drink or do anything crazy. So I walked to the gas station and got me a couple bottles of wine and some Four Lokos. And also I was prescribed Xanax. I took 4 milligrams of Xanax every day, and I got my refill. I have the whole bottle. And when you're drunk, you're a lot more, I wanted to die, but I was too scared to kill myself, but I was at that place where like, I don't want to wake up. I'm done. I'm so tired. I don't like me being myself anymore. Like, let's just, so when I was drunk, it was like, you have a lot more bravery to actually follow through with it. So I took the entire bottle and downed it with a Four Loko, and I'd already drank 2 bottles of wine. And I locked the door. And ended up, I told this guy that I was like dating what had happened. He drove as fast as he could to that hotel. And when they got there, when he called the police and the ambulance and everything, and when they finally got there, that place was lit up like a Christmas tree. There was 3 ambulances and like tons of police officers. And they had to carry me out, put me in the ambulance, drove me down to the like major hospital. Forced me to drink charcoal. They didn't pump my stomach. They just had me drink charcoal. And I remember a lot of this. My mom was at the hospital with me, and I remember getting in her face saying, I remember why Dad divorced you. It's because you're so ugly. You're a horrible person. No wonder he had an affair on you. Like,
Yeah.
The worst things
Yeah.
to my mom, who's the best mom, by the way. And I also was pulling out my IVs, being crazy. They were putting IVs in my feet because I was like a junkie. I had no whatever. I pulled my IV out 4 times, running down the hall, like with my gown open, my ass out, because I want a cigarette, you know? That's all I wanted was a cigarette. And so I ended up tied up to the bed in restraints. And just nothing I could do. And my dad went to the probate court and had a like petition put on me where I was forced to stay in the psych ward for 2 weeks. Like I couldn't leave by the court. I was court ordered to be there. And I just like wasn't cooperating with what they wanted at all. I would just stay in bed. And when I went in there, they ended up diagnosing me borderline personality disorder, which I honestly don't think I have.
We were just talking about this.
Yeah, we just talked about it.
A lot of people get diagnosed.
It's so hard to diagnose, especially if someone's in their addiction or just coming out of it. It's really hard to like properly diagnose things. I got diagnosed with BPD.
Did you really?
2 separate times. Bipolar. I've been diagnosed with so many different things every time I go into treatment.
I can believe I might be bipolar because of looking back at being in the cult in that time when I wasn't allowed to take any medication. And I remember having weeks of being like, and I don't talk about manic, just like hypermanic. I mean, hypomanic, a little bit like whatever. But I remember the depressions being really deep. I would not go to work for 5 days and just like binge eat. Oh my God, I love to binge eat.
Oh, same.
It's a problem. So anyway, but I don't think I'm borderline personality disorder, but I certainly was crazy. I mean, that was just like a little 24-hour snippet of my story. And, you know, and that's just how it was for like maybe 3 or 4 years. So I remember one night I spent the night with my mom and I was pretty much living with her at the time. And I was sleeping in her bed with her. We got a knock on the door at like 2 a.m. And I was still kind of asleep. I was kind of high. Still, I heard her scream bloody murder, and I was like, oh my God, my mom stubbed her toe or something. And I come running out, and my dad's there and my stepmom's there, and they were like green looking, and they were like, your brother has died in a car wreck.
Oh my God.
And my mom and my dad, who are like don't get along at all, were hugging each other, rocking back and forth.
Wow.
And I mean, thinking back on that, it's like I'm shaking right now. It's a lot, you know. That was a hard thing to go through, but I was in shock where I was like, it's not him.
It's not real.
It's not him. Did y'all like, how do you know it's him? Did you see him? And they're like, no, it is. We drove down to Montgomery, which is like an 1.5-hour drive to tell his twin brother, which was hard. So I have 2 younger twin brothers that, anyway, he had gotten in a car wreck and we don't really know what happened. There was no other cars involved or anything, but he pretty much died instantly, which gives me a lot of peace of mind. He didn't suffer, and he got to donate some organs.
Okay.
So that's cool. Yeah. There's somebody that's got his corneas. And I'm like, I want to see somebody.
Have you been able to meet them at all?
No, they wrote us a letter. I want to meet them. Be like, I want to see your eyes.
Wow.
My brother was really special. He was a cool dude. He was a drummer in a major band. They had like a record deal and everything. And yeah, he was really talented and just a good dude. Like people loved him. But that really like was another excuse for me to drink and use. And I was in and out of the psych ward. I was in and out of jail. I would go into jail for shoplifting, and I was picking up felonies left and right. And I forgot to mention how those 37 warrants went away because my dad took care of them. Like I said, he was a sheriff, and when I got sober and I was in rehab and finally got sober, he took care of them for me.
So you never got sentenced to like okay, got it.
I've never been, the longest I've been locked up was about a month at a time. But I've got 7 felonies on my record right now. I don't think they do expungement in Alabama, so I think it's always going to be on my record unless they change. And I could be wrong, but I kind of like my felonies at this point because they've helped me tell my story. And I'm just like, you know what? I live a great life today despite my background. So it's just proof. But anyway, I was like living in homeless shelters too. I got kicked out of homeless shelters for drinking. I couldn't stop. The only way I felt comfortable was if I was drunk or high. I hated being sober. It was the worst. And I was definitely mentally ill at the time. in and out of rehab, kicked out of several rehabs. I remember going to one rehab, and I'm going to take it very seriously. It was a Christian rehab, but I was taking triple C's. I don't know if you know what quercetins are. Yeah, just stealing them. So that's what I was doing the whole time, thinking I found Jesus and he is in my soul and the Holy Spirit has taken over me. It was the quercetin. But I got kicked out anyway for, I don't remember what, who knows. But one day I go to rehab, another rehab. And when I get there, this guy texts me or sent me a Facebook Messenger and said, "Is this you?" And it was my mugshot on the Most Wanted, on Alabama's Most Wanted.
Listen, nobody wakes up one day and thinks, you know what'll be fun? Going to rehab. But sometimes life gets messy. And the bravest thing that you can do is admit that you need a reset.
At Oak Forest Recovery, we're not here to judge. We've been there. We know what it's like. We've been scared. We've been alone. Using comedy and jokes to cover it all up. The good news is you don't have to do it alone. We have the tools, we've got the community, and we even have good coffee.
If you or someone you love is struggling, come see us. Healing doesn't have to be boring. It can even be fun, and we're here to help.
What the fuck? I'm on Crime Stoppers. It's literally all over on the 10 o'clock news, on the internet. And, you know, I'm like, I was raised by a good family. My parents are good people. And this is an embarrassment. Oh my God. Yeah. But I had picked up a sponsor that day already. And I call her and I'm like, what do I do? Like, how do I get out of this? And she's like, you can't get out of this. You're going to have to face this. The only way that you're going to be able to stay sober is if you're willing to go to any lengths. And that includes you turning yourself in. So I mean, that took a lot of faith, because jail really scares me, and detoxing in jail really scares me. And everybody hates jail, but I feel like I hate it a lot.
So what did you end up on there for? Was it just all these charges that had racked up?
Yes. Okay. So the reason I ended up on the Most Wanted was because I stole some checks from my mom. Okay. And she pressed felony charges on me. And that's how I ended up on the Most Wanted, was my mom pressing charges. And that kind of breaks her heart today. She's like, but I'm like, that's part of my story. And you saved my life. Yeah. You know, somehow that saved my life. I'm not saying everybody needs to have felony charges pressed on them by their parents.
Yeah, sometimes I know
tough love works.
People that Abby, I know multiple people that their parents literally, that was like the last straw. Yeah. Like, there's no parent in this world that wants to put felony charges on their child. But like, that's got to be hard. If it comes to a matter of life or death, like my kid is about to die and like I need to start putting some boundaries and like stop enabling, like it works out like that sometimes.
Yeah. And she had no choice to. She had a new job because at a new bank, and they were like, either you're going to lose your job or you're going to press charges. And I'm glad she chose herself. Yeah. I'm so grateful for that. So anyway, I had the lady in the rehab drive me down. It's about a 2-hour drive to turn myself in. And it was the scariest drive of my life. And I'm thinking, and I know that I'm facing 54 months. That's the exact sentence that I'm facing. And I've been on color code for a long time. I had already been on community corrections, which in Alabama is like the strictest form of probation. I was literally assigned a prison number and everything. So it was like, it's like being in work release. So I was scared that I was going to be going to prison for 54 months. But I had this feeling I was going to get out of it, you know, I don't know, somehow. But I remember the lady in the rehab telling me that she was going to tell them that I could come back to the rehab and she was going to help me and da-da-da. But she marched her butt right into the DA's office and was like, you need to lock her up. She's a thief. She's a liar, whatever. So they did. They locked me up. I went to jail, spent 2.5 weeks in jail, but I kept my mind right. I was like, I'm going back to rehab. I'm gonna stay sober. Yeah. I'm not getting involved in this mess. Oh God, I had the worst cellmate. Her name was Amanda Lee. It was mine. It was this girl that was a prostitute, and she would yell through the toilet. I don't know if you've heard of that Go in Tokyo, where you can talk to the guys through the toilet. Oh, she'd be like, I'm looking for the stealers and the dope dealers and like all this stuff. Like it was so awful all night. And the stuff she was saying on that toilet was disgusting.
Oh, God.
But anyway, I got out of jail and I went back to rehab. I went back to that rehab and I'm so grateful they gave me a chance to go back. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I took it seriously.
Yeah.
I was not going to fuck this up. And I've been sober ever since.
Wow.
So that was April 13th, 2014.
Wow.
Is my
So what
sobriety
was
date.
different about that time? Like,
I think making the decision to turn myself in changed everything. It was a
Right.
surrender that I've
yeah.
never had in my life.
yeah.
Because turning yourself into jail is terrifying to
Yeah.
me when you're facing 5 years almost. So I think that was my white flag, my surrender. I think that's one thing that was hugely different about this time. So I started going back to meetings. Meetings have been tough for me because after being in that cult, meetings are really tough for me. I feel like I'm in a cult in a lot of groups.
Yeah.
So I've had to find groups that are more open-minded and it's just been tough for me.
Yeah.
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 Started going back to meetings and I was on probation. I was on really strict probation, but I was following the rules. I was doing everything I needed to do. And I ended up getting off probation early. So things just start lining up here. Like I got off probation early and my probation officer recommended me for a pardon from the state.
Oh, wow.
So I applied for a pardon. He gave me a recommendation letter. I got recommendation letters from my lawyer, from my dad, I think, who my dad had never an enabler. I mean, really, he had always been like,
yeah, no.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But he wrote me a letter in support because I had really, 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 really changed.
Yeah.
And so it took 3 years to hear back from them, but I did get a partial pardon. So I still cannot carry firearms, but I can vote. So,
Hell yeah.
but it's cool to be able to say I
that
got a
is
pardon
cool.
from the
Yeah.
state.
For
You
sure.
know what I mean? After
is.
being like on the most wanted, and I know like it's not like the biggest most wanted ever thing, but it's
most wanted anything
literally,
is,
literally still on the internet. You Google
Yeah.
my name, the first thing that pops up is my mugshot, most wanted.
Wow.
So it's just it used to embarrass me so bad, and now I'm like, no, that's my story, and this is how I help people.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So. I had a dream of being a nurse, but I knew that was impossible because felons can't be a nurse, you know? But I don't know if y'all have heard of vocational rehab, but vocational rehab came to the rehab that I was at and told us like they help people with disabilities go back to school, get job training, stuff like that. And mental health and addiction are considered disabilities.
Yeah.
So I reached out to the lady and set up an appointment with her. And they helped me, actually paid for me to go back to school. I went to community college, started out with one class. That was what my sponsor said do, just like one thing at a time. So I took one class, they paid for it, and I got an A. So the next semester I took 2 classes and got A's, you know, and they're paying for everything. And I'm like, well, maybe I can, you know, whatever. And then I went to a meeting and this girl shared that she had burglary charges and she was a nurse. And I'm like, okay.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
what? Wait, what? So I asked her, like, how did you do it? And she put me in contact with somebody. She told me I need to talk to the dean of student affairs of the school. So I went to the school that was like near my rehab, and it was a nice, prestigious university, but they were like, oh, hell no, you're not coming here. But I got the name of the guy that this girl had talked to. And I reached out to him, set an appointment up with him. And, he was like, yeah, I think, you know, you can apply here. You might get accepted here, and I can kind of walk you through what you would need to do for the nursing board. But you're not going to know if you can actually sit for the NCLEX until you
You get all the way
graduate.
through.
So are you willing to take that risk?
Yeah.
Because they do turn people down.
Yeah.
And I mean, 7-time felon. I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to take that risk, but I did. I applied to school and I got accepted. And not only did I get accepted, I got a full scholarship.
Wow.
So I never had, I mean, it paid for everything. It paid for my stethoscope, my scrubs, my fancy shoes, everything.
God comes through. I'm telling
God
you.
comes
When you do the right things and you just start, God comes through.
God comes through. And vocational rehab also put me in contact with some churches that like to help people in recovery. So they gave me gas vouchers.
Wow.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, for the first year of my recovery, I didn't have a car. I was working at a restaurant and I had a bicycle, and I would ride my little bike to and from work. And I also have to tell you, I was almost 300 pounds at this time. Wow. So I'm riding my bike to and from work in the snow, in the rain, doesn't matter, but I'm willing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I got a car was like 2 years into sobriety. My mom drove down for Thanksgiving and surprised me and was like, hey, let's go look at your work. And she had a car parked there with a little bow on it, an old car, but it was a
But it
company.
was something.
But you were probably so grateful.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And I had to pay her $200 a month for that car, and I did it perfectly, and I paid her off, you know? So anyway, that was how I got a car. I just feel like that's important to mention because I was so willing. I remember to ride that bike to and from work, and always showed up to work with the best attitude I could. I don't know. But I got accepted to nursing school, and I start going, and I'm making straight A's, and I'm volunteering. And when I say I went above and beyond, I really did. I was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to like look good for it. I was definitely a brown noser. That's okay though. It worked.
It is.
I've seen first, I've got to meet clients that have come, you know, through finding Forest through my platform. And I think that's been one of the most special things. And then seeing them, I've seen people come in the beginning, and then I've seen them, you know, at bonfire or after, and seen like the light come back in their eyes and what a great experience they're having. And this new, you know, community that they have now that could last for the rest of their lives and has set them up like for a successful recovery. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things.
I was volunteering for like, I created a program called it was like a mentorship program. So people in my class would have like would be a mentor for a person in the semester below them, just to kind of help them with whatever, how to study or hang out with them. So I created that little program and helped with that, and volunteered at different like homeless shelters and stuff. And I didn't really tell my story to anybody. The dean of student affairs told me to kind of keep it on the down low. So I didn't tell anybody exactly. The only people that knew were like some of my clinical instructors, because I had to get background checks to go into different hospitals. Yeah. I'm not allowed to go into like the VA. There's certain hospitals I still can't go into, or work at anyway. I'm sure I could walk into it, but so let's see. I made straight A's through school and graduated top of my class. As a matter of fact, they gave a speech about me at graduation, not about my past, not about like, oh, look how far she's come from sobriety, about the things I had done and achieved during nursing school. And I didn't know they were talking about me. Yeah, they gave this speech, and I was like, that person sounds awesome.
Really?
And they're like, it's you.
Yeah. And I got to walk up there, and I had all kind of like ropes on me, you know, because all these honors, you know what I'm talking about, the graduation gown, all the things. And I was just so proud and so grateful for that, to graduate college. Because when I got sober, before I turned myself into jail, like that very first day, I wrote a bucket list of things I wanted out of life. And it was way beyond what I thought I could achieve. But I mean, it was, you know, one of them was get a college degree. And that felt way too far out of reach, you know. But when I did that, it was huge to me. And it was like, so anyway, I graduate college. I apply to take the NCLEX, and the way, just for anybody that's listening to this or watching that wants to know, you know, how you work with the nursing board, I had to submit a packet that had all of my court closure documents, proof of paid restitution, lots of letters of recommendation, stuff like that. So when I applied to take my NCLEX, I submitted the packet with it. And while all my classmates are taking their test, you know, I'm waiting, just like praying, hoping, you know, and I know there's a chance they can say no. But I got a letter, and they asked me to come down to the state office. So I drove down there and met with them, and they had them and their lawyer, and they offered me a year of probation on my license and a $300 fine. I don't know what the fine's for, but I paid it because I'm like, I could have gotten a lawyer to fight it and maybe like not have the probation, because it's still on my license. The 1 year of it shows. But I didn't fight it. I was just like, $300, whatever, let's do this. If you're going to give me my license, let's go. So I took the test and passed the first time. And so got my nursing license. I'm an RN now, like a full-blown RN with, and I did my year of probation with no issues. It was literally just checking in once a month and having my employer check in every quarter, like every 3 months. So I finished that with no issues. Now my license is completely unencumbered, which means,
You're just
no restrictions.
Yeah.
I've got my license in Alabama and in California.
Oh, wow.
I love on social media when people are like, you couldn't do that here in our state. California would never allow that. And I'm like, I got my California license. Actually, yeah. Anything is possible, actually.
Wow.
That was hard to get my license
so how
in
does
California.
that, I was just going to say, how does that work? Like, you have to take the test again in every state or?
Nope. You just apply.
Oh, okay.
Just apply.
Okay.
And it took 9 months. I had to meet with their board of nursing too. And, it's a whole process when you've got a background like
so
me,
do
but
you
it's
do
possible.
Nursing out here in California?
I have done travel nursing in San Francisco.
Travel nursing. Got it.
Yep,
Okay.
I have. So I was a nurse during COVID, a baby nurse during COVID, and it really kind of fucked me up. I'm not going to lie.
God.
Yeah. But I did a good job and I won the patient experience hero award for my hospital because I was really good at like, if your back hurt, I'm going to get you a new bed.
Yeah.
If like, I advocate for my patients, you know what I mean? Like I don't
you were
just
meant to be a nurse. You're one of those.
You wanna take care of
There's a
people.
couple kinds of nurses out there, and I know nurses are so overworked, and there's
Yes.
there's the nurses that will literally don't give up. I mean, I know the conditions all go to it. I don't want to offend any nurses because I know y'all go through it. But there's someone who's been in the hospital many a times. I've been admitted. There's a clear cut difference between the people that like are really meant to be a nurse, and the people that like signed up and like was like, I'm just going to do this for a job. Like you could tell the difference. You know.
And I love it, you know, and it burns me out. Being that I care and love so much burns me out a little bit because I put so much into it. I really I don't know. It did that during COVID because I cared so much. I had to take a month off. My psychiatrist put me on a month off on FMLA, like to protect my job. But I was having panic attacks at work and he's like, you're not safe to work with patients. And it was the first time I'd had real panic attacks before, but not in sobriety, not like that bad. It was because I was walking in on patients that were dead that had just been talking to me or else their I'd have to get the iPad and call their family and be like, hey, you need to come. We're going to walk in and say goodbye because their family were not allowed at the hospital.
Wow.
So I was having to be these patients' families and everything. So yeah, it really took a lot out of me. But we made it through COVID and I did a good job, I think. And, and I should mention that I do see a psychiatrist and I do take medicine today. Nothing too strong, but I take an antidepressant and, it helps a lot. So that's not anything I'm ashamed of.
Right. And it shouldn't be.
And it wouldn't be allowed in that group that's still around today if I was still sober.
Cult.
So the cult.
Let's make a little PSA everyone. If you go into any kind of meeting and they tell you don't take your meds, maybe
Go to another meeting.
Look into other
Yeah, and definitely I like to throw out that like when I talk about that not all AA is a cult.
Right.
It's not. There's AA is a miracle.
Yeah.
But there are groups and I think people need to use discernment when going to groups 100%. And there are sick people in groups.
Yes. Come on. That's a lot of when I was trying to get sober, for many years, I would always think that. And I thought that about the first AA meeting I ever went into, like there was I raised my hand and I was like, I'm Rachel, I'm an addict. And these two old timers come up to me and they're like, you're not where you need to be. Right. And like I was like, fuck AA, I will never come back. Like I had a huge resentment and like all of these things. And it took me even into sobriety, it took me a lot of years to learn that like the program is not the people. Yeah. And so like, it's just like when I have religious trauma and there's been years where I was like, fuck all Christians and I'm never doing that. And you guys, all of you are like this and this church is like this and whatever. And I hate church. And it's just like, there are sick people everywhere we go in places like this when we generalize and it's like the Bible is not the people that are in the church, right?
Exactly.
It's like the big book is not the people in the meetings and like you can find sick people anywhere. So it's like I always encourage people to like try to look beyond all that. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
And take what you need, take what you need and leave the rest.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure where I'm at, but let's see. I know that, my brother passed away and I wanted to lose weight and I had started exercising and like really getting into, I did CrossFit for a while, but I wanted to run a marathon. It was just a goal, but like 300 pounds. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to do that. But I just started running and walking like the best I could. And I got up to 20 miles where I could run 20 miles.
Wow.
And so I signed up for a marathon.
Wow.
Yeah. And God, finishing that marathon was...
Felt so good.
Oh my God. I cried at the end, like just the emotional release. Yeah. And I dedicated it to my brother. It said run for Jared on my little thing. And the whole time I was running, I was like, this is for he's with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a cool experience. And another, just to be able to say like, you can do anything is possible.
Right.
I could not believe I ran a marathon. I can't believe I got a college degree. Let's see. And I met a guy that he's a normal person, you know, like we like
he's
to say.
He's a muggle.
He could have a half. He could have a half a beer and just be like, I'm good, whatever. Yeah, and I'm like, that's alcohol abuse. Just you shouldn't leave that. So, he's wonderful. My biggest supporter. So we decided we were going to get married like the first day we met. I'm not kidding. We didn't get engaged until like a year and a half later, but we knew.
You knew. Yeah.
We knew. I'm very lucky with him. And we ended up getting married on a rooftop destination wedding just outside of Cancun.
Oh, wow.
And we had like 37 guests. It was just such a cool experience to be able to do that. Yeah.
What caused you to choose to become a part of the Oak Forest team?
The first time you came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my family. These are my best friends now. And I immediately felt very drawn to the Oak Forest community. I think it's really beautiful, from just the bonfire meeting and people not even necessarily needing to go through Oak Forest to go to that. And then also knowing that they have this safe community, or if someone needs help, they can go through this program that has changed so many lives. I love that it's like a family and tribe, like you call it. From seeing how many people have gone through there and then decide to work at Oak Forest and help others and want to stay in that community because they love it so much, I think that's truly something I haven't seen anywhere else.
To find somebody that would want to marry this. I'm like, you're going to take this on?
Yeah.
Do you know my past? Sure? Like, there's no guarantee I'm not going to lose it again. Okay. But where should I start?
What a transformation.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It's different.
How long have you been a nurse now?
So I've been a nurse 7 years.
Wow.
Right now I hold 2 jobs. I just got a new job actually. And I talk about that on, my little social media stuff because people think you can't get a job with a background, and I pass background checks. I still have felonies. I have not gotten an expungement.
Yeah.
A pardon is not an expungement. All of that is still on my record. But what I do is I go to the interview, and at the interview they say, tell me about yourself. And I'm like, well, let's start out with this. I am a felon.
Yeah.
But I've changed. And I explained to them, I don't have to go into, I was a heroin addict. I don't have to go into that. Just, you know, I made some mistakes because of the way I was living, and it was theft related, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to talk deep into it. But the fact that honesty goes a long
100%.
way, especially in nursing, because the nursing board would not have given me my license if I hadn't told them about everything. And my charges, if anyone wants to know, are theft related. So like all shoplifting or stolen checks. And then I had a paraphernalia charge that got dropped, but I still have to tell the nursing board and jobs about the paraphernalia charge. So anyway, it's on there. But my manager follows me on social media and so proud of me. Like, and she likes when I share my story with patients. Not everybody. I don't go in and I'm like, hello, I'm your nurse and I'm a felon.
Yeah.
But people that are there because they're detoxing or whatever, I can tell if they need to hear my story.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you, like, that's probably,
I'll share.
You're probably the perfect person for them to be there,
Yeah. I love that when God puts me, where I feel like I'm meant to be, because I feel like my story has power and I should share it. There's been so much that God's done for me that like, it's my purpose, I feel like.
100%.
So that's what I'm doing. And, I don't know exactly. I want to start a podcast. I'm sharing on social media. This is the first week I've ever been going viral. So I'm all like, woo, I love it. I'm so excited. So hope, and I want to go viral because I want to share my story because I believe that it helped me. When I heard other people's stories that felt like I felt, had done things I had done, and that had overcome all of these things, that helped me. It made me want to get sober, and that's why I share, you know, because it makes me look like a crazy person and like all this stuff. And man, there are haters.
Oh yeah, and there's always going to be.
Yeah,
you know?
there are haters. People telling me I should be buried under the jail or,
as they do.
you know. But
I do know.
but I'm not. I'm sure you've heard some stuff before.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anything is possible. I believe, and I don't think that this is the end of my story.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more to it.
It's just the beginning.
I do. I really do.
Beginning.
I really do. I think there's a lot more in my life to come as long as I live the straight and narrow, you know, and I know there's no guarantee that I'll stay sober, and that's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to know that, like, I have to take this serious. I can't just rest on my laurels or whatever. Just make, you know, the things I've done in the past, like, oh, I'm a nurse. Like, I'm good now.
Yeah. Like, I'm cured. I'm never going to be at risk.
I still, you know, do my meetings. I do my therapy. I take my medicine as prescribed. I live a good life, you know. I share to help others. So I feel like, you know, as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, this is just the beginning. Yeah.
It's just putting purpose to like all the pain that we've gone through. It's like, it's not for nothing. Like all of that stuff. I know for me personally, when I look at everything that I've gone through, and I'm like, I get to share that today. And like, I got to, it didn't feel like I get to go through this while I was going through it. Right. Like, no, it didn't feel like that then. But now that I see, like, I get messages all the times and like comments. And when I see what a difference just me saying something that's on my brain and that I feel called to share, that's like on my heart, and people, how I see it helps people. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense. And this is the reason why, you know, like all of that pain that I went through in so many hard years, and just for you, like all of that pain, it's like, this is our purpose, is to share it so that we can help others.
Yeah. And the level of pain that it was deep. There were years I didn't want to live.
Right.
And that's just painful. Not wanting to live and having to wake up every day. Ooh.
And look at your life today.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I know. It's so cool. I love waking up. I don't love waking up. I'm not a morning person.
But you love waking up to the life that you have.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm just like, how did I even get here? Sometimes I have imposter syndrome. Being asked to come on here has been imposter syndrome this whole time. Like, there's no reason that anybody would want to hear my story. But, you know, then again, right.
Do you know what? Whenever I get imposter syndrome, someone told me this quote, or I don't remember who it was. I can't even remember who it was because my crack brain, right? But I get like that often, and I'll be in places where I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. Like, who invited me? Are you guys sure? And I get very in my head because I'm like, there's a lot of times where I tell myself in my brain, like, I am literally just like a crackhead dope fiend.
I'm just a girl.
I should not be here. I'm not deserving of being in here. All of these people are like way up here and I'm way down here. And someone told me this quote of something like, God doesn't put you in rooms that you don't belong in. So girl, I was like, oh, okay, heard.
I needed to hear that.
God does not put you in rooms that you don't belong in. And when I looked at it from that perspective, instead of like putting myself in it and being like, I'm just not deserving, and it's like, God don't make fucking mistakes,
right?
All I've done, my recovery is put one foot in front of the other, and everything that happens in my life right now has just landed. Like I didn't try to be a content creator. I literally just like all of these things just happened that I never imagined for myself. So it's like, when I'm put somewhere, I have to trust that like God wants me to be here right now. So you need to reverse that negative.
I'm going to.
Yeah, you got to
really
reverse
deep.
that. And when you're like, oh my God, I can't believe like that imposter syndrome, and maybe I'm not supposed to be here and whatever. It's like, no, God's putting you here. God's giving you this opportunity because you're supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And that's what it looks like.
And it is scary to share about all this and be like, oh, I'm an ex-heroin addict. I've smoked crack and I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
Because I get scared that people are going to try and fuck with my nursing license a little bit. But I trust God.
Amen.
And I've learned faith. Going through nursing school without knowing if I was going to sit for the NCLEX built my faith so strong, and having to turn myself into jail. There's been like things that I've had to do that have exercised my faith to where it's at today. So yeah.
And I think it's like people like when Nurse Jackie came out on Netflix. I love Nurse Jackie. Love Nurse Jackie. Okay. And so many people will be like, oh my God, I can't believe there's nurses and doctors or whatever and that's the reality. And that's not talked about enough because people don't want, like a lot of people are scared to talk about it because then people will feel unsafe and then all of these things. But like it needs to be talked about because it's a reality. Because there's a lot of people that I know personally that work in the medical field that are in recovery, right? They're not actively using right now, but it happens, and it's something that should be talked about because maybe a nurse that's using right now will see your story.
That's what I was going to say.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's these people that are living in shame and feel like that they can't. There's like all of these avenues of just you sharing your story and being like, I am a nurse. And sometimes I get scared to share my story because I don't want people to fuck with my license, but it's like someone else could hear that is actively in the medical field that's using that maybe was like, I can never tell anybody, I can never be honest about any of this. Yeah. And now they'll hear your story and be like, wow, it's possible to like do my job and be sober and like do other things and continue my life. Yeah. So, because there are a lot of nurses, I mean, there's alcoholism and addiction is so prevalent that of course there are nurses and doctors struggling with it.
Every field.
That's like a heavy, like ER nurses. I know in the ER, it's like,
it's a lot. It is.
Like, and it's like
crazy.
And it's just something that I believe needs to be talked about. I get it might make other people feel uncomfortable, but I mean, too bad, like exactly. Because what do you want? You want people to just get worse and worse and not talk about it ever and not feel like they have a safe space to be honest about it. It's like, we don't get better when we're living in that space. So it's like, if you want your nurses and doctors to get better, you got to be honest. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, this was amazing.
Yeah, this was great.
This was amazing. Thank
you.
Y'all
are amazing.
So much.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Love that accent. It's so good.
No, I love being on here. I was so grateful that you asked me, and it's just really cool to meet y'all.
Such a good story.
Yeah. Wow. Where can people find you?
I am the most wanted RN on TikTok. It's at Amanda Darby Lee. On Facebook, I'm Amanda Lee. Okay. The most wanted, and it's at Alabama Amanda.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome.
Is that all? And then I'm also on Instagram at Alabama Amanda.
Yeah, and you'll be tagged when we post like the clips from this. You'll be tagged and stuff.
Yeah, y'all follow me. I'm excited to share my story and my journey.
Yay!
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for coming on.